Hey, Harley.
Hey, Flash.
So I got a little surprise for you. Are you ready to get into our new show?
Yes, sure.
During a trip through time, the Legends were forced to land the Waverider in Blue Valley, Nebraska, where they discovered a young superhero.
Yes.
About to take flight.
That's cool.
Who are you?
I'm Stargirl.
There you go. What do you think? Welcome to our new show.
That's awesome. I love it.
I whipped that together last night. I wrote it up. I said, we got to do something. Because come on, you know me. I'm not going to let us start a new show without some type of fancy intro. I love our intros, so I had to do something. I wrote it up and I contacted my best bud, Dan, at Quintex Entertainment. I said, can you get this done by tomorrow? And he sent it to me today. That he put it. I gave him the music clips that I wanted. I said, you got to speak these lines and you got to time it to fit in this and this. And he's like, okay. And he did it. And yeah, so there we go. Just a quick, down, dirty, real fast intro for us.
Awesome. Well, I love it. That's good. I wasn't sure. I was like, are we going to do our normal intro? How are we going to do this?
Well, we have this.
And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
Now we are officially introed. Hello, Legendaires. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. Just when you thought we'd be lost in the time stream for a year at least, we found a way to come back to you, and we're back to bring you an all-new show under the Legends banner, Stargirl, a Tomorrow's Legends podcast. I am the Star-Spangled Flash.
And I'm the side... Hey! I'm Harley Quinn is no one's sidekick.
But
I'm Harley Quinn.
What about Joker?
We're partners in my mind. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Cool. Well, welcome everybody. Yes, this is a Legends podcast. We are covering Stargirl. We are going to do our best to catch up to it. I know the show is 5 episodes in. We will discuss that how fast we can get them all out to you. But we're going to go episode by episode, make this a legit podcast, just so you guys, don't forget about us, because it's going to be like a year. So we wanted to figure something out, what to talk about, Harley? And we came out. I mean, yes, we did the polls, but we talked about behind the scenes that we really enjoyed how this one started, and it might be a fun one.
Yeah, I thought it might be fun. I think we both were. We don't quite want to speak for you just yet, but I know I was pleasantly surprised by the pilot. So we decided, why not? Let's give it a shot. It was very highly voted in our polls. Yeah, so S.H.I.E.L.D. was a close second. That's going to be a longer one. So that may be a secondary project once we kind of complete. We do want to still do a rewatch, right? So we might do a rewatch and then figure out a longer project, or I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it all out. So we have time, sadly, to figure all this out.
Yeah, we do have time, but instead of being off air for all that long, we're itching the podcast. So I think this will work out great, because if Legends doesn't go past this next season, Stargirl is doing well enough that it might continue on. So we could just kind of transition, and this will be our show going forward.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'd be down for that. I'd keep going with Stargirl.
Yeah, as long as it keeps up. I mean, we'll see how it does the rest of the season. We're only talking
one
about
episode
the
in.
pilot. Yeah, exactly. But before we get to that, let's do talk a bit of Legends, because you have some news here about our Legends of tomorrow. Let's see what you got.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
And there is some news on the wavelengths.
There is, yeah. So there's a couple different articles that came out. I tweeted a few links out and post the main one in the Facebook group. So if you're kind of looking for the articles, they're all over there. But the first thing that I kind of want to talk about here is they talk a little bit about aliens and kind of how they're going to approach that next season. So it's more of like the structure of what they're doing. So they were going back for more of the, I guess, kind of the magical creature feel, but they don't want it to be, I guess, as like complex or repetitive as the magical creatures. So basically what they're going to try to do is like each episode is going to be a different, I think, I mean, as far as they're saying, it's going to be a different like alien race. We might see dominators. We might see other aliens. We might see completely made up aliens. But they're
Supergirl
also
aliens,
gonna,
maybe?
Supergirl aliens. Yeah, we could. But then they're also going to play more with the genre. So each episode is going to be more attuned to a specific genre, like a movie genre or something of that nature. So that could be a little interesting. We might have a little bit more depth to podcast about, like, artistically. So that might be kind of cool.
Well,
and then
if they're doing genres, like, it makes me wonder what that means. Like, are they going to do like horror aliens and then friendly I'm lost aliens like E.T. and different things like that? That could be cool. Could be fun. I know you don't like aliens as much as I do, but I am curious where they're going to go with it.
I'm curious where they're going to go with it, and if they do it right, I mean, I'll be fine with it. So we'll just have to see. The other thing they said is they do want to focus a lot on the interpersonal relationships of the legends.
Right.
So we're definitely going to get a lot of that as well. So it shouldn't be as much, quote, alien of the week, but it should hopefully weave itself in and out of a hopefully relatively seamless storyline.
Cool.
So.
And how long is Sarah going to be gone for? Like, is Katie Lotz not going to be part of the next season really at all? Like, or are we going to get kind of like side flash scenes to show where she is and what's happening to her, and then cut back to our team and what they're up to? So I'm wondering how they're going to do it.
Or in Legends fashion, they'll find her 5 minutes into the pilot or into the premiere, and away we go.
Yeah, exactly. With hardly an explanation.
Exactly. Which is, you know what? That's probably what they're going to do. So I guess we'll find out.
Probably.
That would be my guess. Because there's no news about Katie leaving the show, although obviously they're not going to probably say anything about that now, hopefully. But
I think if they lost her, the show would probably shut down. They're probably throwing whatever money they have to keep her at least.
I think so.
Because, with the state of the world, having a female lead that's as kick-ass as she is, I don't think they want to lose grip on that. So
I definitely don't think they want to lose that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. Now, what about Bayrod?
Yes. Our friend Bayrod has been officially promoted to a series regular. The actor's name is Shayan Sobhian. I think that's how you pronounce it.
At least that's how we heard it in an interview. So, yeah.
Yes. The pronunciation of his name is very hard to find. So if you happen to be listening and you'd like to come on our podcast and tell us how to pronounce your name.
Along with many other stories. Yes.
Yes, obviously. That was mostly in jest. But yeah, if you're listening and any of you, any actors want to come on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So series regular. Now we've seen this before with other actors and they still hardly showed up. But this guy was pretty much part of every single episode last season. So he already really was a regular.
More or less. Yeah.
So
it's confusing the way they've kind of designated some of the actors. But yeah, I think we're going to see him and Zari. I think they're going to try to do more or less a Wonder Twins thing without doing the Wonder Twins with them.
Well, that's what Berlanti and Guggenheim had said. They said they really wanted to look at the brother-sister dynamic with those two. So
yeah.
Which is why we got new Zari, not old Zari.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's the news.
Well, that is fun. All right. The other thing we want to start mentioning is our Patreon. We always forget to bring it up. And we just want to mention it here, guys, that that's a way for you to support the show. Yes, with money. And there's just all kinds of different tiers in there. And, me and Harley are continually trying to think of ways we can pay you back for just Patreon supporters. And we were talking about ideas of doing like a call-in show where only our Patreon supporters can just call in and we'll all just hang out and talk about Legends, talk about the whole DC universe, talk about whatever. I guess we could do it. So that was one idea, have like a call-in show. And then there's other ideas of if you guys have specific questions about anything that you want to ask us, we can have like a ask us 3 questions kind of session. And you guys get a chance to throw 3 questions at us and we respond. Different ideas like that. So it's just a way to show your support for the show, for all the hard work and time that me and Harley put in here. And to do that, we would so appreciate it. And this is how you do it.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
All right, everyone's waiting for us to get into Stargirl. Let's get into it. Let's go with your ratings of the pilot.
All right. So I started off with a 7.5 90s nostalgia with iPhones.
That is going to come back for sure. We got to bring that up.
Okay. Well, we could talk about that. I definitely enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a pretty solid pilot. There was a good bit of exposition. It sets up the show. There's a lot of good action scenes. So I enjoyed everything that they did with it. But I think I just stuck with the 7.5. I was thinking about it. I just kind of want to start there. It's the pilot. I've heard some good things. I know a lot of people are excited about it. So I definitely think it'll go up. So I kind of left it at a 7.5 there. Some other things that I really thought that this show was going to end up being way cheesier than it turned out to be. So I was very pleasantly surprised by that. I think it helps that they were actually really making fun of themselves in a lot of ways and making fun of some of the cheesy names like Stripesy. So that helps me out there. And also it's a DC universe type of show, originally for their streaming service. So I feel like it's a little bit of a different caliber there, but I'm excited to see where it goes from here. They kind of ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So I'm excited to go into the next episode, and I want to know more about that car.
Yes.
Pretty impressive. So what did you think of Stargirl?
I am giving it an 8. Wholesome back to the Smallville future vibes. And we'll come back to that too. Like you said in your opening, this one surprised me. After seeing the trailer, I was really unimpressed with what looked like another cheesy, campy, trying too hard to be funny DC show. I thought, they're spreading themselves way too thin and it's starting to show. But I started hearing everyone talk about how great this one is, which isn't what we heard when Batwoman came out. I just heard complaints and gagging with Batwoman. But now with Stargirl, every single person was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, wow, everyone should watch it. So I thought I'd watch the premiere just so I could form my own opinion of it. And I came away being pretty entertained and, as my rating says, feeling nostalgic for Smallville and Back to the Future all at once. It had great casting, great soundtrack, lots of action, and not cheap-looking effects. They really threw some money at this one, and as you said, it was not cheesy at all. I mean, yeah, it had its moments, but they felt more like sweet and innocent and not gag me type of moments. So overall, by the end of it, I was really pleasantly surprised, which is why we are here with our new podcast about it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything that you said. We are on the same page, it seems.
Good way to start.
For once. All right. So we're going to roll in. I wasn't sure how I was going to start structuring notes. So I started to just sort of pick out a couple different things and write them all down and figured we could just talk and see where we go.
Yeah, well, I think what we decided on, we're pretty much going to stick to the same format as our Legends show. We just tweaked a couple of things or changed a couple of things. Like instead of doing quotes of the week, we're going to just do our favorite scene. And everything else, I think, is pretty much on par the same. So,
yeah, I think for the most part, yeah.
Cool. All right.
Should be the same format. All right. So let's start with this introduction here with our original JSA. Mm-hmm. I was a little bit stunned to see that they cast Joel McHale as Starman. I thought that was kind of a bigger name for what turned out to be like a 2-minute part.
Yeah, kick our show off and then die.
Yeah, pretty much. And so unless they find a way to have him like somehow back in the picture, I was a little bit surprised to see him specifically. But I mean, otherwise, I enjoyed actually seeing kind of all these little cameos, quote unquote, of all the JSA members. I don't think it's any actors that I immediately recognize. I'd have to go back and look up names and stuff to be sure. But, I thought it was cool to see all the JSA members again because, we've actually seen them on our Legends show. Maybe, I don't know if they're the same people or not for sure, but we definitely at least saw those characters before their quick demise in season 2 that we were not expecting. I know we expected the JSA to be like a whole arc over season 2 of Legends, and it definitely wasn't. So it'll be interesting to watch all of Stargirl and then jump into our season 2 rewatch.
I think so, yeah. And I was asking, though, that wasn't the same actors. I don't think it was the same ones playing the parts. But
don't think
like you
so.
said, the characters were definitely, we had seen them all before. And for sure that was not the same. Stargirl was much older when we saw her on
Yeah,
Legends.
she was. Yeah.
No. But yeah, at least by them doing that, by showing these characters in the very beginning, it gave us a little bit of recognition because we had seen them before. So that was kind of cool. That does kind of build a little bit of connection where they're not just throwing these bunch of no names at us. So you're like, oh, wait a second. I know Dr. Midnight. I remember that guy.
Yeah.
So a little bit of connection there, which is nice. But I was also going to ask you, who's Joel McHale? His face looks familiar, but I don't know the actor.
Did you ever watch Community?
No.
Oh, okay. I was say most people know him from that. He's a pretty famous actor. Relatively, he's more of a comedian. He's done several shows. One of the newer shows he was on, I think it was called The Great Outdoors or The Great Indoors. I can't remember exactly what, but that was actually pretty funny as well. He does a good bit of comedy. He's kind of known for his kind of dry, sarcastic, blunt deliveries. But yeah, most people know him from Community. So if you don't know him, but he was a pretty big name. Was shocked to see him as Starman, like basically a bit part on a DCU show.
Cool.
So
cool.
All right. So I have a question. I alluded to this in my intro. Stripesy. It's a terrible, terrible name. That came straight out of the comics, didn't it?
It did. And it is officially one of the worst hero names, sidekick names ever. I mean, the guy had no powers of any kind. He was just basically like an errand boy, but right out of the comics. And yeah, one of the worst names ever. Like, really, guys, back then you had no imagination. I mean, we'll get into the bit of history of it in a little bit, but he was originally, it was the Star-Spangled Kid and Stripesy. Because Star Spangled Kid wore this blue suit with stars on it, and Stripesy wore the red and white strands. Oh my! Well, okay.
Yeah, so
yes, you're being patriotic, but you're not being very creative.
No, not creative at all. So I thought that was really funny.
How did that get past the manager's office? Yes, I'll sign off on that name.
Who knows? I mean, but most of the names from this era are equally as cheesy as most of our villain names and half of our hero names. I mean, let's be real. Starman and Stargirl are not exactly original.
No, it's pretty darn plain. And even still, it almost has nothing to do with their abilities and what they're doing either. Like Starman, okay, you'd expect him to come flying in from outer space and have something.
Well, he has a cosmic staff.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to the cosmic staff a little bit. But, the person themselves, Starman, I expect something like the Silver Surfer to show up. That's what I'm imagining.
Now I'm imagining Joel McHale as a Silver Surfer. It's kind of funny. Anyways. All right. So you talked about this a little bit, and it definitely stood out to me. So let's dig into this point.
Okay.
Definitely not a CW budget or what I would call a typical CW show. I mean, even the beginning fight, it was really pretty cool. Towards the end, it got a tad overacted by Starman / Joel McHale. I just didn't care for the way he kind of ended and didn't die and then finally died. I just didn't like that particular part. But
that was their humor.
Other than that, yeah, I mean, and that is his humor. It just didn't. It felt like Joel McHale. It did not fit like it. Feel like it fit in that at all. But anyways, what did you think about the budget and some of the effects? Pretty good, huh?
I was impressed with the budget they seem to have already. I mean, although pilots always tend to get a much bigger boost just to bring the people in and go, wow. So what we'll have to track, and I know we track this on Legends, we'll track to see if this holds up or they end up cheaping out after the pilot over the next few episodes. Or halfway through the season, are we going to be able to tell that they run out of budget because suddenly there's no action sequences, there's no special effects or superpowers? We'll have to see. But yes, that fight was cool. It's a good way to open the show, especially a new show, because it also had some backstory. Mm-hmm. We got to see what happened in the JSA and what would lead to Stargirl beginning her quest, basically. So that a little bit of backstory really helps kick off the premiere of a new show. Plus, there's a lot of action, a lot of special effects. So right off the bat, you're just like, whoa, what is this all about? And it holds your interest instead of having a slow start. So pretty smart, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the fight looked good. The effects were cool. They threw in a lot of characters, some of which we recognized, some of which we didn't. So I have a few questions to throw out at you that I thought I picked up on, and then I'm pretty sure I confirmed at least one of my questions from the actual JSA photo. But my first question was, was this a version of Vixen, and was she a villain? Because I found that confusing. It seemed like she had the same powers as Vixen.
That wasn't actually Vixen. Apparently, that is a character called Tigress. But we haven't met Tigress yet. I think she's coming in a couple episodes. So yeah, this was another character.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the way they dressed her, it looked almost exactly like the styling that the CW has taken for Vixen. And so that's why I was taken aback. I was like, hold up, I didn't think Vixen was a villain. And so it was a little confusing to me.
Yeah.
But the other thing I noticed was something that looked suspiciously like Flash's helmet on the ground.
Yes, because Flash, the original Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick, was part of the JSA. So
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so that was Jay Garrick's helmet. But what does that mean for us, though? Because we've had him on the Flash for a few seasons, and he was also in the couple of the crossovers. So does this mean that he is also dead? Because how does that work? Because like I said, we've had Jay Garrick. Could this be the same Jay that we had? We just saw some of his past that he only spoke of on The Flash, because he used to tell stories about the JSA in some of his lines when he's talking to Barry. So did we just see maybe some of that history? I don't know. I mean, I the way I look at it, I don't think that could have been Jay. He couldn't have died, because how do we bring in the crisis event to answer all of this? Because we know all the Earths got collided into one. You know, is there multiple Jay Garricks that came in there? This could just be a different one that possibly died, you know, or did he left his helmet there, but he ran into the future and did stuff with Barry and I don't know. I don't know how we answer this, or if they're even going to answer. Maybe it was just a quick little Easter egg, like, hey, there's his helmet. But it opens up a lot of questions, because this is all different history now because of Crisis. So
yeah, well, I think we're supposed to assume Stargirl is on her own Earth, because when they collapsed all of like the CW quote infinite universe into one, I think, for the most part, but then they kind of put other people, you know, we had those ending credits where they showed like different people on different Earths, like Titans was one of them, and wasn't it? And then I think like, you know, a couple other ones. So I think each DCU property probably has its own universe. So I think Stargirl is supposed to live within its own universe. Now, it would be ridiculously cool if John Wesley's ship showed up in here as the Flash, but I would be really, really surprised if that happened. I feel like they're trying to keep this its own, but I don't know.
But we don't know. I mean, they brought Black Lightning into Crisis, and he was supposed to be completely on his own. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions here, and we're going to get to it, like the timeline and everything. It's interesting. I mean, I can't see DC having one show completely separate from the rest. I'm sure they're going to combine everything. They're going to be able to visit each other somehow. I mean, if there's another Crisis event or crossover event coming, how can they leave Stargirl out of it? She's clearly part of the JSA, and that's a huge history in our Arrowverse. So, you know, they can't. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. Now, the other thing I liked with this opening, because we're talking about how you open a show. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they start a brand new show by killing everybody in the opening sequence.
Right? Yeah. I was like, well, that's one way to start it.
Let's just kill everybody. Nobody gets a chance to know them, but, you know, here's our jumping point.
Yeah. No, it was definitely crazy. I made a note to myself that I was going to look up the Golden Age JSA, and then I never did. So maybe I'll put a pin in that and come back to that at another time. But they do show us a photo later in the episode. So, I mean, I think if we need to go back and freeze frame, we could at least in this version of the JSA pull out all of the characters. I mean, Starman and the Flash were right up front, and then there's a whole bunch of other people.
It's interesting. Hawkman and Hawkwoman are back there. Green Lantern is there. There's a whole. But these are like Green Lantern. His suit was red and green. He looked horrible. red and green and a bit of yellow. Just awful version of him. And Hawkman and Hawkwoman. So it'd be so funny that, we've already had our Hawk people on Legends. So who are the Hawks that are in this version of the JSA? And yeah, it's interesting. There's a bunch of people in there, and some. I think when you look up the history of it, Dr. Fate was also one of the ones that began the JSA. So there's a few well-known characters and some that you thought like, oh, Hal Jordan was the original Green Lantern, was he? No, there's this one in part of it. I can't remember the name of the human, but yeah, he started it way back when. So
yeah.
Well. But we did get a list of bad guys. At least in the beginning, they named a few of them. We saw the Wizard. We heard Brainwave, Icicle, and Grundy. See, and they didn't say Tigress's name, so we don't know who she is yet. And there was still a couple others as well. But those were the 4 that they actually name dropped during that opening sequence.
True. Okay. Yeah, Wizard, that I hadn't picked up on that. Was he the abracadabra guy?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Wizard and then
the other 3 I picked up.
Okay. And Grundy's a well-known villain. I think Grundy's fought Batman. He's fought Superman. He's big, strong, kind of tombstone-looking gray skin guy from what I remember. So, yeah.
Yeah. Of all the ones I immediately recognized, Grundy was one of them.
Yeah. And Icicle, I think a lot of people made fun of Icicle. He's like a cheap ripoff of Iceman from the X-Men kind of idea. So we'll have to see what they do with him.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Cool. But we moved to Blue Valley, Nebraska, which is where we parked the Waverider because we got some, we were forced to touch down here and look what we came across.
Yes, we definitely did. So I guess we'll move into our main storyline. I didn't really know what else to call it here, but since they moved to Blue Valley, Nebraska, I figured why not call it that. So
I got a question. Since we're here for a while, are we just going to join? Join Pat in his garage? Is that going to be our base?
Oh, yeah.
Park the Waverider in there with the robot,
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I mean, he's got to have some sort of like secret layer in there to hide all his stuff, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Nebraska. So
Nebraska.
the point I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you noticed it, when they were moving on their way to go to Nebraska, the moving truck rolls in and it says Action Movers on the side. And it's the same font and logo as Action Comics, which was the very original Superman publishing.
It was. That's true. I did not write that down, but you're right. I did notice that. And I thought that was a very cool nod, a nice Easter egg.
Yes. Very fun.
I enjoyed that.
Now, this is where the Smallville vibe comes in when they get to Nebraska, because they're leaving Los Angeles and they're going to Blue Valley. It's a small town. Everybody's friendly, has a bit of a country feel to it. And I just thought, this is really giving me Smallville vibes, which is good. It's such a positive thing. Because, what superhero show since Smallville has, or any action show, takes place in a small town, let alone Nebraska?
Right.
Like when Nebraska, nobody uses Nebraska as a backdrop for anything. So it really sunk in that Smallville vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It did. It did. I liked it. I have not watched, I've watched a couple Smallville episodes here and there. I have not watched like the whole thing, start to finish. But I can, based on your descriptions, I can see why it would have some Smallville vibes to it. Probably also some of the teenage angst. I know that was also in Smallville.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that'd be a good one for you to go back to for some summer viewing. Smallville is good. It's worth a watch for sure. This is my biggest question here. The most confusing part is, what year are we in? Because there is such a mix of old music and old cars with modern day era stuff. It says it's present day, but then it says the JSA scenes were 10 years ago and the JSA is from like the 50s. I can't tell what year we're in. I was watching the vehicles and it looked like there were some 90s era vehicles in there.
Yes.
But I don't know. What do you think? Because they didn't give us any inclination at all.
This is why I go with a separate universe. This is partly where my separate universe theory comes in, because I was getting very strong 90s vibes. Although you're right, it did say that the original JSA scenes were 10 years ago, which felt very 50s, maybe 60s, but to me it felt very 50s. And then all of a sudden, like, you kind of fast forward, quote, 10 years, and it's got a very 90s vibe to it. And then about halfway through the episode, Courtney whips out her iPhone. So
Which makes it present day.
Which makes it a present day. Yeah. So or close enough to that iPhone, a modernish iPhone was there. So, within the last 5 years.
Which makes it, the JSA was 10 years ago, 2010.
Yes.
and I mean, okay, take away Pat's car, because it's an old-fashioned car. He just likes old-fashioned cars. He's a mechanic. All right, fine. He's just got a collector car he likes to drive. So that, because you look, there was a Jeep Cherokee in there that looked pretty new, 2000s-ish. And, there was a few other vehicles in the clothing style and stuff. So I was like, okay, modern. Then I thought, well, the small towns are often very slow to keep up with what's hip and happening and new in fashion and style and everything. So maybe it's just the small town is not showing that yet, even though it is apparently 2020.
Yeah. Well, fun fact, the 90s are back, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
Maybe not the music, but the clothing.
Well,
Definitely.
Ripped off jean shorts and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. So it felt very 90s, but then, at the same time, it felt very modern in a lot of ways. So I don't know, maybe they'll actually timestamp it a little bit later, but I was getting some hardcore 90s vibes, and then all of a sudden there's that iPhone.
Well, it does say present day, so I'm assuming we're supposed to think it's now. It's the here and now. That's our time indicator. We might never get it again.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's hard to say. If they're set in, quote, different universe and different timeline, maybe it is the, quote, the 90s, but their technology is far enough advanced that they have, like, modern iPhones and computing equipment and all of that. I mean, that's another way to look at it. So I don't really know. We'll have to see if that theme continues and if they explain it, or if it doesn't even matter. But it definitely stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Definitely stuck.
All right. Well, let's get unstuck from that question. Let's move on.
I know. We always pick the most random things to get stuck on.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, this was a little bit of a sticking point, and maybe we'll get more explanation, but I find it very hard to believe that Pat married Courtney's mom, yet had no idea that Courtney was Starman's kid. It just...
Okay.
There's something that feels off about that to me. I get that he's, like, super genuine, and I'm not saying he married her, like, because of ulterior motives or anything, but I really find that hard to believe he had no idea.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with it. Maybe what I'll have to say will help you. I don't know. Because I believe it. I think he said he was looking for something, and that turned out to be the bad guys he was tracking, because he's the last member left. So he was tracking the bad guys. That led him to Blue Valley, where he happened to meet her mom, Barbara, in the little restaurant. And what I think, so I think that happened by chance, but I think the chance was directed a little bit, because the staff itself, I thought, somehow was bringing them together, because if you remember the whole story, right, was that the staff can only be handled by the next person that is honorable and good and all that kind of stuff. The staff already knew which person they wanted to go to, and that was Starman's daughter. So I think the staff's cosmic magic somehow, manipulated things just a little bit to get these people to come together and meet, and that way it could end up in Courtney's hands.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, she does, kind of look up at the stars, and they kind of have, I don't know what symbol it was, but they definitely not spelled something out, but it looked like a actual constellation at some point.
It looked like the hook on the end of the staff, I think.
Yeah.
So,
a little bit.
I think the staff had something to do with making sure things were in the right place to bring them together to meet. But I don't know. I don't think Pat has anything going on that I don't think he knew. He genuinely looked, to me, surprised that she thought Starman was her dad, because I don't think he knew who her father was. If because it turns out that her mom, Barbara, didn't really seem to know a lot about where he went either. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely true. So we'll see. I mean, we all know that Pat wanted to move to Nebraska anyway. I mean, I know that Barbara says that it was her choice and that she took the new job and she, it was her idea and all of that. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see if maybe he had somehow found a way to like kind of help her like find the job or get the job or in some way.
Yeah.
Just because like he wanted to be there, like he knows that he needs to be in this specific city, this, super small town. So like you said, that's where he met her in the first place. So I don't know. I mean, I like Pat. I don't think he's trying to be like sneaky or like disingenuous, but I do think, he does have a mission that he's trying to accomplish.
Well, yeah, and that part I'll agree with you. I think he wanted to get to Nebraska, so he maybe coerced them a little bit to go there, and whichever I don't think he knew the bad guys were there either, because like he said, he doesn't want to put that family in danger. So, I don't know.
I think he knew the villains were there because it was on his map. It says Blue Valley with a big circle.
Yeah, but I don't know what they were. Yeah, they didn't really show us what he was tracking. Like he was looking for the bad guys, but what led him to Blue Valley and why did he have it circled? He didn't really explain what clues he had. I guess I don't know. I guess I'm not feeling suspicious of him. To me, he's kind of a bumbling sidekick with a big heart, and he was just protecting them, and that's his new family. That's kind of what I felt like. He's the typical superhero trope. I got to protect my family, and they better not know the truth. Yes, I was a sidekick. I work with superheroes, but it's best if I don't tell them, because if I tell them, then the bad guys will know about them and they'll come after them. That's the kind of thing I got.
I mean, yeah, no, I definitely agree with all of that. I mean, I don't think he's double crossing anybody or anything. I think he's definitely a hero. He definitely has a big heart. I just and
it's Luke Wilson. He can't play a bad guy. He never can.
That's true, but still, I definitely think he's got a little bit more of a mission than he's letting on.
Yeah, I'll give you that for sure.
All right, next thing. What's with this janitor? Did you notice that they go out of their way to show him watching Courtney twice?
Yes.
Like, did you recognize him? Is that someone we should know? Like,
I totally noticed that too, but I don't know who he is, and I have no idea. But they really made sure that we wanted to see him as being this creepy guy, and it wasn't just him. At this point in the episode, it wasn't just him. There was a lot of creepy people lurking about. I mean, we had the janitor, the gym guy, Larry Crusher, when he showed up, the lunchroom lady, even the principal. All these people, before you clue into who they are, they were all creepy. And you're like, what is up with them? It was making me think of, there's an old horror movie called The Faculty.
Oh, yes. Or the Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
But both, yes.
Where the teachers are actually aliens, and they're just in this, they're slowly leading the students to be fed on, but they're dressed as teachers. So it gave me that vibe, like, oh, what is with these people? Everyone in the town is messed up. So creepy, but yeah, definitely. I don't know. The janitor guy, he never showed up in anything else, any other scenes. So I don't know if he's, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely a weird feel with those sorts of people, for sure. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Okay, so I really liked all of the scenes with the staff, and when Courtney first finds it and she's really trying to try it out. I really kind of like this actress. I think she does a really good job. I didn't feel like she was overly cheesy or overly I don't know, teenage, even though that's what she is, but I liked it. And it was fun. A lot of good action scenes, and I just enjoyed her kind of using it, as doing all of her gymnastics and stuff. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Well, it's Breck Basinger is the actress, and everyone thinks, is that Kim's daughter? No relation at all. She's 19 in real life, but she's playing a 15, 16-year-old or whatever. So, she's super cute. She takes the lead of the show and runs with it. And I think it's a great job, because it's difficult for young actors to be strong enough to lead a show. And I think she's doing great. I looked her up on IMDb, and she's got quite a few TV shows under her belt already. So she's got the experience to pull it off because she's worked with tons of lead actors on TV series before. So she just naturally stepped up into it. And the fact that she is 19, I think it allows her a little bit more range to be believable as the 16-year-old kid and do it. So yeah, she's great. A great way to start off. Again, you don't get that feeling from Batwoman or, with some of these other shows. You just like, ooh, I don't know about the casting of this one. And she's right off the bat, she wins you over really well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really liked her. So I'm happy to see more of it, see where she goes.
Now let's talk about the staff, the cosmic staff, because I looked it up and the history on this thing is a little bit convoluted. I tried to piece a bit of it together for those that maybe don't know. They're just watching the show. It's a magical staff. Okay. This is what I found on the wiki, and it's a little bit confusing because the show is, of course, taking liberty in rewriting the story. But in the history, it says this cosmic staff was originally created by Ted Knight, the original Starman, and it was the prototype of the gravity rod. That's what it was called in the beginning. It was the gravity rod. And it was just a little tiny, like a magical wand kind of thing. It was his first invention, which he then passed on to his son David Knight, who then gave it to his brother Jack Knight, who decided a little tiny magical wand wasn't suitable to him, so he revamped it into the staff to suit him better, which is the staff that we see now, and then that gets passed on to Courtney. So the TV show kind of sidesteps all of that by making Courtney the daughter of Starman, and I'll get to more of her bio in a second, but the staff itself, where it gets its powers and stuff from, it absorbs stellar energy, so energy from the stars. It absorbs that. So, and what it does is it takes that energy, that celestial energy, and it can create all kinds of powers. And there's a list of powers that it can do. So it can do gravity manipulation, magnetic manipulation, deflection. It can build defensive force fields, energy projection, which we saw a lot of in this show, energy absorption. So she can absorb stuff being fired at her, heat emission, and attunement. And attunement is meaning whoever holds on to it, whatever it chooses to attune to, it is now only that person can wield it because it's been attuned to that person. So that's the list of abilities that it can do. Now, our TV show shows the staff to be kind of alive and having an attitude. There's nothing I could find in any of the histories in the comic books that the staff was ever alive. So, on our TV show, it definitely has attitude. So it must be something that the TV show writers added. And I'm kind of curious about that, why they would go with that, what that idea is when it doesn't look like it ever existed before in the comics of being alive. But I actually didn't mind because something like that, a gimmick like that could come off so cheesy and childish. And it actually was okay. I laughed. I laughed, especially when it was laughing. The staff was laughing. And that made me laugh because it had a really funny kind of chipmunk laugh to it. They have to be careful with this concept because it can easily ruin a scene or even ruin the show if they use this gimmick too much, which, they seem to keep it under control. So I liked it, but boy, keep a handle on it. So that's a bit about the cosmic staff.
Very cool. Yeah, I feel like we saw it do a lot of those powers kind of throughout this episode. So that was pretty neat. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more information on that. And I liked it too. I liked that the staff itself kind of had like a personality, that it could almost kind of sense what was going on, and that it wanted to train her and like do all these things. So I thought that was pretty cool. You're right, it could have come off pretty cheesy, but I don't think that it did. I think they pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, because there's been some movies out there where a kid finds, and not E.T., but there's been all the ripoffs where a kid finds a little alien or a little creature, and the creature is doing things like the staff is doing, and it's so bad, so poorly done, but they didn't fall into that trap. It came off well. The staff was funny. And so we'll see what they do with it. Now, Courtney herself, Courtney Whitmore, this is the history from the wiki as well. And again, it's confusing because she's the daughter of Sam Curtis, who was never a superhero. She is the daughter of Barbara Whitmore, who once divorced, did marry Pat Dugan, aka Stripesy. So Courtney, originally, she started as the Star Spangled Kid, but once she got the staff, she changed her name to Stargirl. She herself has no superpowers. She's trained in hand-to-hand combat. Yes, she has gymnastics background. It's the staff that has all the power. So without the staff, she's nothing but a gymnastic girl. And, so she could easily get stomped on by, any of these bigger, badder, stronger bad guys. So that's where the history is a bit strange. Her father actually never was a superhero. So the show rewrote a couple things to change it. That the staff was handed down to her through the Knight family, who she's not related to. So,
yeah, I mean, it does kind of make a little bit more sense. I feel like it streamlined the history a little bit so that they could actually have that exposition and get it set up to make sense within the pilot of how she comes. Well, she hasn't technically become Stargirl yet, but obviously that they're gonna get to that pretty quickly. So I think that made sense, and I like that there's enough nods to the comics that you can kind of follow the breadcrumbs. So.
Yeah, no, actually, I totally agree with you. I think the way the show, like you said, streamlined it, the show took the best parts of her history and they made it a lot simpler to work for TV. And we've talked about it before. People that complain about books, the books are so much better than the movie or whatever. You can't. And I've said it over and over and over again. TV and movies are such a different medium. You can't transfer a book directly to screen. And this is a perfect example of that. They tweaked it to what's going to work on TV, and it makes sense. It's a good story. It's a very heartfelt story that that little girl never got to see her dad come home for Christmas, and she's holding on to that same present she made for him all these years. And it turns out that her dad died saving the world because he's a superhero, and now his power gets transferred to her. That's a great origin story. Why not? She didn't get zapped by dark matter. She didn't, she's not super rich and has all the money in the world to create whatever she wants. This is a completely different new take on an origin story, and I really like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. That was pretty good.
Now, I mentioned him earlier. I just want to bring up again Larry, or call me Crusher, the gym owner. There was something about him, and he didn't look familiar to me like he was one of the bad guys that we saw in the opening fight. I have no idea. Maybe he is, but his face didn't look familiar. Something about him, and this is where the Back to the Future vibe came in. He reminded me a lot of Biff, the small town tough guy.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, because I was like, should we know who this guy is? Are they trying to point out that he's a villain, but he doesn't look like any of them? But yeah, he felt like Biff. That's exactly it.
Totally. He had some good scenes. I like when Pat went to his gym and he just would have nothing of it. He would, go lift weights, go get changed right now. You're going to work out.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny.
How's that feel? Does it hurt? Well, good. You got 20 more. He was funny.
Yeah. Well, maybe I haven't gotten to that part yet. I just watched the first episode. I haven't watched any of the other episodes yet.
Oh, I might be leaking into this. I watched the first 2 episodes last night, so I might be leaking into the second one. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't watched the second one yet. Oh, that's okay. That's fine.
Well, we're trying to be episode by episode. I must be mixing them up. Sorry, guys. We'll stick to episode 1 here.
Okay. All right, so I liked this little twist. Like they're showing this bully, over at Courtney's high school, and it turns out to be, she's dating the head cheerleader and yada yada yada, and then you finally come to figure out that that Brainwave is the bully's dad, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like father, like son, like his terrified of his dad bullies him, so he pushes that on down and bullies other people. So I'm very curious to see like if the villains have all settled in Blue Valley, and why, and like are they just trying to lay low? Like is there something special about Blue Valley? Because he calls Jordan Icicle Man, and he says I'll be back soon or something along those lines, as if he was like traveling somewhere. So I'm intrigued to see if they're all in Blue Valley, or if it's just those two, or kind of how that goes. So
you weren't really picking up on it, like pointing out these weird people that were, all over town. I wasn't cluing in, as it was just seemed like Brainwave was the only one that was there, and I was trying to understand, like you said, are they all there? Are they all in hiding? Why would they be here in Blue Valley? What's going on? And then Patty Spiffett beside me, she made the realization that the building that Barbara got the job in, what was the name of it? It had a name.
The American Dream.
The American Dream. She thinks that's the same building as the house they fought in the opening sequence.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I want to see.
It might be.
I want to see. I was like, oh, really? And she goes, yeah, it totally looks like it. So I want to see if she's going to be correct in that.
But is that one of those things that it's just the same set? Or is it literally going to be the same house?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see. I'll be interested to see if that turns out. That would be really cool if that turns out to be the case, like for sure.
Yeah, because I wasn't recognizing it, but she seemed to. So
cool. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to check that. There's another thing that I liked about this. I really liked that they kept this pretty true as an origin story. And Courtney, she doesn't know automatically like how to use the staff. It kind of takes her some time to just start to figure it out. And so I enjoyed that they made a point of showing that they, and yes, I guess, you could argue it's taking up like screen time and, it may not have been like the best use of time, but I thought it made sense in a pilot to set stuff up to show that she's trying to like figure out how to use this thing. She doesn't know how to use it. And so I really liked that they showed just her and the staff trying to basically train, like, getting her to try to figure out how to use it. I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm with you. I don't think it was a waste of screen time or anything at all. I don't like a show that just starts off with a new character and they don't teach us how that character comes into being. Like, she has to have some kind of origin story. And what they did this one, I mean, it's quick, but not that quick. They took the episode to work through it. We learned that she's on the gymnastics team when she was asking the school counselor about it. So that gives her the acrobatics that she needs. She has a legacy to fulfill. So she's finding out her dad was Starman and the staff is attuned to her. I mean, yes, it could have been maybe a little predictable, but it's a good origin story. Like I said, for a young hero, she's only 15 or 16. It's a good origin story for her. And I have no complaints about the screen time, about the story we got. Nothing. It was well put together for her, for this character.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I really enjoyed it. Those are some of my favorite scenes. There was a lot of dialogue, so I didn't really pick it out as my favorite scene, but I really did enjoy a lot of, those scenes where she's getting to learn how to like use the staff. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I like how the staff wakes her up at night and, wants to take her out training and yanks her out the window. And, and then it's kind of like the way they animate the staff, it's kind of pointing and turning to show her like, come this way. This is where I want you to go. It's neat. It was fun.
It is. Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool. And then, the ending, I was, when she runs out of the warehouse and runs basically straight into Pat, like that was really cool. I wasn't expecting, I was not expecting him to come to her rescue like at all.
Yeah.
And two, certainly wasn't expecting his car to transform into like an Iron Man kind of robot thing. Like it was cool, but I was like, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, how does he know she took the staff? Does he have like tabs on something? Could he tell that like Brainwave was doing stuff? Like, I have lots of questions on that.
Well, I think it's just his experience working with Starman. He can probably track or do something, or because he's a sidekick, so he did. I'm sure there's something he can figure out when it comes with the staff and how to know where to find her and all that kind of thing. But I agree with you. The car itself is a beautiful car. It's very cool. But that moment itself, when the car takes off and starts flying like a rocket ship, as the car,
the beginning.
That was the only moment I cringed just a bit. I was like, we've already seen this in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Coulson's car. Almost the exact. He's got an old Corvette. This guy's got this old car. I was like, we've already seen this. I don't know. And you said it transforms, and that's what I'm wondering about. I don't know if the car actually transforms. I think it may be permanently in robot form.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I don't know. We'll have to see if we see the car again.
I've got money on Transformer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That there was a lot more there than I think with the car. I don't know. I have a feeling it's permanent. We'll have to see.
We'll see.
Cool. Well, that is a good way to kick off a show. We're both pretty positive and excited about it. So like we said at the opening, we are not doing quotes of the week for this show. We are just going to do favorite scenes. So me and Harley have gone ahead and picked a favorite scene each that we're going to play for you. And I'm still going to use the same.
Shape out and eagle.
Because we got to keep our show familiar. Now,
That's right.
I'm going to play mine first because it turns out that our scenes come in kind of chronological order, and there's like only a minute or two between our scenes. So in order for it to play out properly, I'm going to play mine first. And mine is the scene in the basement when Pat and Courtney are arguing about the staff and what it is. And I just thought this scene was fun because this is where you hear the staff chuckling a little bit. And I just love it. So here's that one.
It's a good scene. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Me?
Yes!
Nothing. I didn't do anything. Oh, but you don't get to ask the questions, Pat, if that's even your real name.
It's Patrick.
You mean Stripesy.
Right, give me that. That's incredibly dangerous.
I know. It blew up a car.
You blew up a car.
I didn't. It did. I was only going to let the air out of their tires.
Okay, look. Are you okay? And was anyone hurt?
Everyone's fine. The car lost a little resale value, though.
That's good. That's funny.
What is this thing, anyway?
It's called the Cosmic Staff.
Okay.
I like when she says the car lost a little value and the staff's laughing in the background. That's what cracks me up.
So funny.
But they got great chemistry together, the way they're both kind of arguing, but not really mad at each other. It's good scene with them too.
It was a good scene. I was laughing through that whole scene.
All right. And what'd you pick for your favorite scene?
Well, I picked, like you said, it's almost the continuation of what you just played. It's when Courtney starts to kind of spiral and put two and two together, and she figures out Starman is actually her father.
Cool. Here it is.
Are you all right? Court?
Why would the staff work for me if it only worked for Starman?
I don't know.
There must be a reason. What if Starman was my father?
If what?
Starman died the exact night my father vanished.
Okay, that'd be the coincidence to end all coincidences. If Starman was your father, it's
what
beyond
about-
the realm of
what about
possibilities.
fate, Pat? Destiny. I mean, maybe the stars aligned. Stars. Starman. It would make so much sense. My father never showed up that night. Because he died saving the world.
So
Yeah.
I liked that one. It was a tie between that and the scene a little bit later where she's sitting on the bench with Pat. I was torn between those two. So I decided on this one.
It's a good one. And that it actually highlights the point because I think his reaction to her saying Starman's her dad, that's why I think he was genuine because he's like, Starman's like, what? What do you mean? I think he's so caught off guard by that I don't think there's a connection there. I don't know, but
I don't know. It just it's the coincidence to end all coincidences in his words.
Yeah. But I guess what they have to do is talk to Barbara and get the real story from her to both of them.
I guess we'll see.
And see,
Yeah.
because maybe she never told him who the father of Courtney was.
Oh, well, as far as she knows, it was Sam Curtis.
Yeah.
And a dude's name was Sylvester Pemberton.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
So who was Sylvester and Sam the same person? And who's lying to who, right?
I mean, the locket looked like Joel McHale, so I'm going with yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's get into feedback because we actually have feedback. We got lots of it for this. So I feel like people are excited. We're covering the show. I guess we'll find out. It's feedback.
Feedback.
23 powers, activate!
All right. Well, let's find out if people are excited for this. We are going to kick it off with a voicemail from our friend Bianca.
Yay.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it's Bianca. just wanted to give you my feedback from the pilot episode for Stargirl. And so far, I like the feel of it, as in the tone so far. I like it. It's nice and light, kind of like The Flash from season 1, where it was totally, completely different from the darker vibe that we got from Arrow. So,
True.
The feel is good. It feels kind of current, but kind of old at the same time. But I'm going to give that feeling because it's referencing the JSA and not the JLA. The bits that we saw of Joe McHale as Starman, wow, never really thought I'd see that. Not really something I pictured him doing, but I enjoyed it. And so far, from what we've seen of Courtney, I think I can get behind her as Stargirl. Yeah, she's got a lot of growing and improving to do, but I think I can see it. But as far as what happened in this episode, way too much attention drawn to herself. I mean, just walking through downtown. Yeah, it may be a smaller downtown and people aren't hanging out. But still, I mean, training on rooftops and, dragging your big glowy stick around town isn't exactly being incognito, right?
Exactly.
And I don't know, Blue Valley seems ultra super small town, even for TV. It's almost like what you would expect for, what do you call it, like the Andy Griffith Show, where that was like small town feel. I don't know. It's a little weird here. But maybe that's just because they want to make it feel kind of weird. But that said, it's a pilot. I really enjoyed it. The 50-ish or so minutes moved really, really well. And that's, a good sign. So we'll see how Courtney does from here on out. I have hopes for Pat as a character to, explain himself a bit more. You're the adult, but still, kids aren't stupid. They can understand things. So we'll see. I think he and Courtney both need to kind of grow a bit. So let's just wait and see. And I'm looking forward to more villains to see who we can have joined the gang, the Injustice Society. It's just so funny. But that's it for now. I'll give this rating out of 5. I'll give it a good solid 4. The costumes look great. The visuals were great. And I liked all the characters. So yeah, a solid 4 shiny pink pens. If you know it. Bye.
Way to shirk the system, Bianca. A 5 scale rating.
Well, that means she's pretty much on par with you if you
Yeah. Now,
if you do the math.
she used a better word than I think we are able to. She talked about the tone and how it's lighter.
Yes.
And I think that's a good way to describe it. And I think that could be why this show is hitting on high points and having everyone excited and happy with it is because we've been getting nothing but dark stuff on all the other TV shows for quite a while. I mean, Flash went dark, everything, and everything's just so serious and moody and whatever. And in comes this lighthearted show about a small town and a small family trying to make it. And you got 2 families joining together and it like a Smallville, Back to the Future, all these vibes that you're getting from it. It's something we don't have right now on TV, and to make it action-packed and fun and funny and, and a good family show, like really all-around family show. Because, yes, she's only 15 or 16. Mm-hmm. She's going to school, so all the young kids can connect and relate to that, what it's like to go to new school. People that have had to move towns before, So I think that it's hitting right in the middle for an entire family to be able to sit down and watch it together. And it's, I think she's right.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cool, Bianca. Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us. And next we have an email from Carrie. Why don't you take that one?
All right. Full disclosure, I'm on episode 6, but I'll try to provide my feedback on each episode as it is and try not to have my knowledge of how it turns out influence my initial reactions. What a fantastic series opening. The mansion battle between the JSA and Injustice Society was an all-out brawl. You can certainly do that in a pilot when you've saved up some money for special and visual effects. I don't suspect every episode to be so full of such effects, but we know what the show is capable of doing, so that's great right off the bat. It was also a bit nice for folks who might not be familiar with the JSA to have Pat mention their names during battle. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a small thing, and some people might say, well, if you're watching Stargirl, you should be familiar with the JSA members. Well, I'm not intimately familiar, so it was nice to have reminders. Yeah, I needed those reminders because I didn't know who those people were, most of them.
Yeah. It maybe came off a bit cheesy because every time one of them goes down, Starman, oh no, Dr. Midnight, oh no, but it works because we needed to know who these people were.
Wildcat.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that was definitely some of the cheese right there in the beginning. Anyway, the best thing about the opening fight scene is that it establishes the fact that the Injustice Society is pretty badass.
Yeah. I mean, they beat the hero team hands down.
Yeah,
beat them.
Yeah, pretty. I won't want to say easily, but they pretty well beat them. So. Yeah, it's often cliche, but it's true. Your hero is only as good as your villain. And right from the jump, we know the Injustice Society is a damn good villain team.
Good point. Exactly. Not enough shows realize that point.
Yeah. Overall, the pilot gave me vibes from 2 of my favorite series, Smallville and Gotham.
Oh,
yes.
Gotham, eh?
Yes. I picked up on the Gotham vibes.
Okay, where are you feeling Gotham from?
I am 99% sure that the set of Brainwave's mansion is the Gotham set.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that is Bruce's office / later Batcave sort of thing.
Okay.
It looks identical to it if it's not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean Grundy in the beginning. I mean he was there was a Grundy on Gotham. So
right.
Anyway. All right. Watching the family walk down the streets of Blue Valley, Nebraska so much reminded me of Clark and his friends walking through Smallville.
Yes. So much so.
Those scenes were shot with yellows and blues that reminded me so much of Smallville. I have expected them to step into the Talon to get some coffee.
Yeah, that was one of the coffee shops they like to hang out in.
Gotcha. What reminded me of Gotham is that apparently the series gives off this feeling that it's not set in any particular time period. True. Has an anachronistic style that's pretty cool. That's also true. Very, very Gotham-like in that way. Stray observations. Although we only saw a limited exchange between Starman and Pat, their interaction told so much about their relationship. I mean, it had dying words. Sylvester telling Pat that the Justice Society must live on. It had humor. When Pat assumed Sylvester was telling him to carry on the legacy, Sylvester corrected him. Not you. Someone with grace and heroism. You can't do it. But someone out there.
Oh, poor guy. Your best friend in his dying words saying, nah, you're not good. You're not good enough.
It was the truth, but you could tell they had a good enough relationship that Sylvester could basically say, yeah, Pat, you're a good dude, but this ain't for you. Then, when that humorous moment had its beat, Sylvester came back with, Pat, you were a good friend right before he died. Man, that hit right in the feels.
Yeah.
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 It's nice to see a young hero who really, really wants to be a hero. Speaking of Smallville, one of the biggest issues I had with the show was that Clark appeared to fight tooth and nail against being a hero. Courtney is all about that hero life, which is great. It'll be interesting to see how the show deals with her inexperience.
Yeah.
I agree. Breck Basinger is in her early 20s, but she actually looks like the part of a high school teenager. That actually means something because most shows cast folks as high schoolers who look like they're back for their 20-year reunion. That's funny. As someone who was married to a woman who had children before we had our own, I know how tough it can be to navigate being a parent and a step-parent. I'll be keen to see how Pat and Courtney develop their relationship. They do have good chemistry on scene, even as their characters' relationship is a bit rocky. That's true.
Yep.
Pat showing up at the end in the robo-mech to help Courtney was freaking cool. Again, I don't know how much FX to expect in each ep, but the work on Pat's robot was pretty damn good, in my opinion.
Yeah, very Iron Giant kind of look to it and everything. And the Doom Patrol has kind of a robot guy in it too, so yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I said Iron Man, but that's what I was thinking of, Iron Giant.
Okay.
Yeah. Overall, the pilot did what it needs to do. It establishes who we should care about and why. It showed us what our heroes are up against, both in their personal lives and in their heroic lives. And it gave us reason to tune in again next week. I'll give this episode 8 Cosmic Staffs out of 10.
Well, good. That's 2 high-flying reviews in a row.
Yay.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, Carrie. Glad you're you know what? I appreciate so far you and Bianca and probably our next 2 feedbackers as well. You guys are ahead of us, so we're playing catch up to you, but I appreciate you guys putting in the effort to send us feedback as we're doing per episode, and not, it's fun. I'm just glad you guys are trying to time it out with us. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, that's totally awesome. I wasn't expecting to have any feedback, so this is kind of fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 more, and they're 2 voicemails. So next up is our friend X-Force 11.
Hello, legends, and welcome to the Golden Age with Stargirl, Episode 1. I enjoyed this episode because it gave a setup. This is a Golden Age tale. It's a Justice Society tale, and it's really informative if you've got DC Universe to go in and read the 1999 JSA run that they have, because it gives you a picture of this Earth 2 tale, this Golden Age tale of, you've got some things are modern, but some things are very traditional and Golden Age in appearance, resembling the 50s in some ways. And I think this first episode did a good job of setting us in that universe and giving us a picture of what it's like. And this series is not rushing. It is slowly introducing characters and is working on development. And that can be a little frustrating at times because we are so ready to just see a full-blown JSA together. But I think they're doing a good job. Stargirl is a little trying at times with her personality, Courtney is, but I think that's what she would be in this case. And so I'm really enjoying the series and looking forward to hearing the podcast all about it. Thanks. X-Force 11 is out.
You talking about the snotty teenager that'd rather have her face in her phone than listen to your new stepdad talk to you? Is that what you mean, Jeff? Yes, that's the time. That's the age for sure.
Yeah. Well, as a person who had to make that move at 16 when you're in the middle of high school, let me tell you, it's not a walk in the park.
Not fun. Cool. Thanks for being with us, Jeff. I know it sounded like you were pretty into us getting the show started. You sent us tons of stuff and links and things to help us get started, so we appreciate that. Hopefully we done right by you. And last up, we have a voicemail from Patty Spivot. She sent it in just shortly ago. Let's see what she has to say.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it's Lisa calling in. Do I call you Flash and Harley still, or are you guys going to have new nicknames for this new show? I'll be Star Lisa. It's Star Lisa calling in. I don't know. I'm really excited you guys are podcasting about this new show. I think it looks awesome. I haven't been this impressed by a pilot in ages. There was nothing cheesy. There was no fumbling with the storyline. I thought all of the setup was great. They identified the characters and the storyline immediately. It was easy to follow. I just thought it was excellent. The music's great. The soundtrack seems fun. The casting is awesome. I was originally interested in watching when I saw that Luke Wilson was in it. I really like the Wilson brothers, and I haven't seen Luke in anything for ages. So that's kind of what piqued my interest initially. But the girl that plays Stargirl, fantastic. Like, everything about this show so far looks really great and promising. I also love that I can watch it with my daughter. She's 11, and I love how much she loved it. So I'm really looking forward to watching this, and I just thought I'd call in and gush a little bit. So we'll talk to you guys later.
There you go. Yeah. it was definitely fun stuff with the three of us sitting here watching it. So good.
Very cool.
That's high praise from everybody.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised, and I am looking forward to seeing more.
And it's funny, she says she likes the Wilson brothers. That if you notice, like between the two of them, they both have this way that they speak that I have not heard any other actor or human being speak the way that they do. They have this sound to them, the way they pronounce their words, and Luke especially. He's always soft spoken. His voice, he's not harsh or edgy at all. And only the Wilson brothers talk like that. Luke and Owen, they both have this exact same. And I'm like, where are these guys from? And does that town all speak the way they do? I don't know. I got to look into that.
I don't know, but yeah, they are both. They're both distinctive in their own ways.
Yeah. Cool.
I love both of them. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our pilot episode. For the rest of you out there, if you are tuning in and you want to send in feedback like these fine folks did, just follow these instructions.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com. That's spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends, also with one R. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
And that is going to wrap us for our premiere Stargirl episode.
All right. We got through it. No, I'm just kidding. That sounds actually really negative. But I thought it was a fun discussion. I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, we both have high energy and we're excited. All our feedbackers were happy. So that's good. Hopefully, I know because this is under the Legends banner, hopefully other listeners looking for a Stargirl podcast out there will be able to find it. We'll make sure Stargirl's in the title so that it's searchable. But all you guys out there, if you want your friends to, follow along, then make sure you let them know that we are covering it.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Now, prizes. We had prizes from our Legends thing. So what happened with those?
We did. I finally got them in the mail. I don't know why. I guess something probably having to do with sending stuff between countries in a pandemic.
Yeah.
But it took absolutely forever for them to get to me. But they are here. I sent the pens out, actually. So Jeff and Bianca, your stuff went in the mail today. By the time you're hearing this, subtract a day or two. And then I need to actually go to the post office to get Carrie and Talia's stuff out.
Right.
So I will try to do that tomorrow.
Cool. There you go, guys. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is our other shows, well, my other shows, I guess, Cybercast and Mandalore. Mandalore is kind of on a little bit of a break. We got a new episode coming out this weekend to cover the last 4 episodes of the Gallery series. So if you guys are into the Star Wars stuff on Disney Plus, tune into that because it is still kind of going, and we got some other episodes coming out. And then as for Cybercast, most of my listeners for that show have come over from Legends and Arrow Squad, and you guys have been listening to me there, which I appreciate. And I know I have not been releasing any episodes, so I wanted to just mention in here that I have been working on stuff. It's just that there was a time when I had Arrow Squad, Legends, and Mandalore all going at the same time. So poor Cybercast got back-shelved.
Yeah.
I just had no time to do it. And then this pandemic hit and, everyone's stuck at home. All these, I lost my creative juice, even though I had a bunch of episodes prepped and ready to go. And I even got some things going, but I lost my creative mojo. So it really took me a while to get going again. But I do have one in the burner right now. I'm just editing it. I am ready. I am going to kick it off because I thought for summertime, I want to get a lot of Cybercast episodes in there. But what I'm going to do, there's going to be changes coming this year. I'm going to actually start asking for fan feedback to be part of a show. I'm going to be asking you guys for ideas, or, I'm going to say, this is the topic for this episode. I need you guys to take part in it. Send me in your story, send me in your ideas, or whatever that I can make part of the show. So look to that. If you guys have not tuned into Cybercast yet, please come follow me over there, because it'll be a lot more fun if I can get people involved. And I just wanted to say all that.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, you and I recorded an episode forever ago, and I was like, did I miss it?
Yeah, you were part of the episode that I'm working on right now, the which is about TV shows ending. So yeah.
Oh dear, yeah. As I recall, that one was rough. So
Rough as in hard to talk about. Yeah, exactly.
oh God, yeah. I don't know. All right, I was wondering about that. Yeah, okay. So that's the one that's coming.
That's the one that's coming, and I got some other ideas. So please, yeah, I'd love to have you guys follow me over there. But other than that, I think that's really all we got. You guys can just follow us on our Tomorrow's Legends Facebook page and Twitter accounts. We're not going to open a bunch of separate Stargirl stuff for that. It's just too much work. This is under the Legends banner to keep it easier for us. But yeah, that's really all I got, guys. So hopefully that this show continues on. I guess we got 4 more episodes. Do we know how are we going to try to do it as soon as possible, Harley? We're going to try to do the next episode too.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do it. So we'll that means we'll probably be recording this weekend sometime. Whenever you've got time. I'm good in most evenings. So
okay, cool. We'll figure it out behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So look for episode 2 soon, and then episode 3 and 4 within the week possibly. And
yeah. we're gonna try to knock them out quick so we can catch up without having too many more episodes go by.
Yeah, exactly, and be kind of in time with the episode actually airing, so you guys can be excited and look forward to hearing what we say as the episode just aired. So yeah, alrighty guys.
Yeah,
that is all for now. This is The Flash signing off,
and this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.